Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Travel Talk with Grant and Marissa.
Yeah.
Episode 5.
Woo! Episode
Woo!
5.
I don't know why we feel the need to count them, but we do.
It's like if you discover this on episode 5 and you want to go back
You know
to the
there's
very
5.
beginning, there's 5 different podcasts to listen
Yeah.
to. So today we want to start kind of like a new ongoing series. Like I think we'll do this like sporadically throughout different themes, but we want to do a new series about underrated and overrated travel destinations that we've been to over our travels, right? Mm-hmm. So today we're going to do an underrated travel destination.
Underrated gem.
Yeah, and I think this place is kind of weird because it's definitely not underrated during the summer.
It's very popular.
It's very populated. It might even be overrated, but we haven't done it in summer, so we can't talk about that. But for us, it was underrated because we went to Dubrovnik, Croatia in the winter, which no one does, apparently.
No one does. We were the only people there.
So this was probably almost 2 years ago, not quite. So not last year, the year prior, Christmas. We went over Christmas. So literally Christmas, right? I'm pretty sure it was
we were there
like midweek.
on Christmas, yeah.
And we needed somewhere to go, and we kind of were looking up places, and Dubrovnik came up as, I was looking at places that we could that were just like cheap
winter
hotels.
Yeah.
I was looking at cheap hotels or something, and it just popped up somewhere. It was the Sheraton Dubrovnik, and it looked beautiful, but it was like insanely cheap. And so we kind of made a whole vacation based on the premise that we found a really nice hotel that was really, really affordable.
Yeah.
And went down this rabbit hole of researching, hey, is it actually doable? What's the weather like? Like, will things be open? Like, is there any point in going when it's like this low season,
This
essentially,
much
right?
in the off season.
Yeah, and it ended up being like one of our sort of favorite trips.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And this was sort of before we were properly vlogging. So we have like a couple of very, very small videos right at the beginning of that channel.
Yeah.
So it was right when I think we just got like our camera and we were like doing...
We were kind of thinking, oh, maybe one day this is a thing
Yeah,
to do.
so we unfortunately don't have like complete vlogs about this place, but that's why we kind of wanted to do this one today to talk about this, because I think it's worth talking about how underrated it is as a destination in the winter. And we want to kind of just today go through all of the sort of benefits to going in the winter.
Mm-hmm. And then a few things to keep in mind if you do decide to go on the off season.
Yeah.
Of course, with anything, there are some trade-offs.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's first talk about the hotel and why we kind of went there to start with.
yeah.
So,
oh my God, this is one of my all-time favorite hotels we've ever stayed in.
Yeah, and so as we said, we found like a really good deal, and that was just for like a normal room. But because it was so cheap, we actually upgraded to, I think it was like a suite. It was like a giant suite.
Yeah.
That had like a lounge room and a bedroom and it had like multiple bathroom. Like it had a big bathroom and it had a small
powder room
kind of thing, and it was way too big, honestly.
Yeah,
but
it was massive.
because we were there for like a week during a slower time, it was actually nice to have a big sort of place to sort of if we did. There were some days that were a little slower, like I think it was Christmas Day in particular. Yeah. I think some of the things there wasn't as much to do, so having that sort of base of a really nice room to be in was nice. But this hotel was fantastic, and it was empty, right?
Yeah.
And because I think it is such a low season, there was barely anyone there. I think there was like, from people we saw over the entire week, some people came and went in a few days.
There were a couple families with small kids, and that was about
And then I think maybe a tour went through for a day.
Yeah.
But aside from that, we had pretty much this whole hotel to ourselves. Like we would go down to the pool, like because they had an indoor like heated pool that was always pretty empty, that we could just go down and chill out by. The bar, there was like a bar area that was always, it was amazing. But it was like us and maybe another like couple or something every evening. And but what made it even better was not only was it cheap, they also, like, I think because it is such a low season, they throw in all these extras. And we actually got breakfast and dinner included every single day.
Yeah.
which is kind of nuts. But it's having those things taken care of. We then we would go out to because the Sheraton Dubrovnik's a little bit out.
It's actually
of the
not
city.
in Dubrovnik. It's like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Outside.
Yeah, but it's right on the water, and like it's
beautiful.
It's very easy location to get in and out of Dubrovnik. So we couldn't just like walk out of the hotel and go grab something to eat at a restaurant in Dubrovnik, like in the old town Dubrovnik.
Yeah.
So having that was cool, and then for lunch we would go to like Old Town and we would get something there and eat and come back. So having that, it just made it really easy to not worry about where to eat.
Yeah. Especially because some things were closed.
Right. And so, yeah, this hotel was just amazing. And they had all these like special Christmas kind of menus and everything as well. Like they had like a cool like cocktail menu, and like we had one of the best like burgers we've ever had.
I think it was maybe the best burger we've ever had, unless it's been dethroned.
I think it was dethroned by the Dublin burger
yeah.
in Dublin, but I think this is, it was a very different burger. It was like, it had like cranberries or something on it, or it was something weird like that, right?
There was purple cabbage on it, which gave it a nice crunch.
Yeah, I can't remember. But it was like a festive burger, and it was like insane.
But it was fabulous.
But no, this hotel, I think if you're going even on like the popular season, I think it would be great. It was one of the nicest hotels we've been in a long time. And it actually, a little bonus, this hotel is also, you can walk outside of it, sort of go to the water, like they have their own kind of private beach and stuff, which is really nice. But something not many people know, I don't know if you remember this, but remember that we went on that little walk and there is that like destroyed like little town, like hotel.
Yeah, there was, so a really cool thing about this hotel was that it was like a 10-minute like hike. Not even a hike is being generous.
Stroll along the
But yeah, if you
water.
go up around the cliffs, right next to it used to be a center for resorts for like Croatia's, like their military families. And then during the war, because it was a center where all these families were, it got bombed to hell.
Yeah.
And so now there's the ruins of all of these really old resorts. And it was very creepy and very, very cool to do a little like urban exploring.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of these buildings, it's not fenced off. It's not like you're not breaking any laws around. It's fully open for you to walk around. Like locals were like walking their dogs and stuff around.
Yeah.
But,
you just obviously have to be careful.
And don't go into these buildings because it would be quite dangerous. So we were like just walking around the sort of main areas. And but I think in particular, because it was winter and quiet, no one was there. So it was particularly creepy, but really cool experience. Like it was just like, that is right near that hotel. So it's probably, I don't think it's something they publicize as being near it, but it is a little bonus for you to go and explore.
And then going the other way, there are like a couple of like seaside villages. Again, most of this was closed because, or like it was just locals because it was the off season.
Yeah.
But it was just really nice to go walk that way. And there was a cat that like adopted us for a couple of days.
It was just hanging out, and it kept coming up to us whenever we went on our walks, like in the mornings, right? But no, I think that one is like that hotel just as itself being so cheap during the off season, getting all those little perks just made it like compelling to sort of go.
And one of the nice things, I'm going a little out of order, but one of the nice things, we loved this hotel, but as I said, it was a 15-minute drive from the hotel to Dubrovnik proper.
Yeah.
The nice thing about the off season is that it was a 15-minute drive, but one of our Uber drivers said in the summer, in the high season, it can easily be 30 to 45 minutes because it's like one lane each way, and it's going through a lot of like rock tunnel, like cliff tunnels and stuff.
Yeah, and like because like the main road sort of just outside of the hotel is fine, but then it gets to, when you want to go down to Old Town, you go down you sort of wrap down around the town and through, like it gets very backed up even in the slower time when we were there. It did.
But you could see how in the summer it would be a nightmare.
And yeah, we actually did rent a car for the week we were there, but it was too stressful to even in the off season to go down there ourselves and then pay for parking. So we found out it was actually cheaper just to get like an Uber there back and forth whenever we wanted to go to Old Town. And then we did use the car to go on like a day trip once we just sort of drove around.
Yeah.
But that leads into the next part of everything being cheaper. So our rental car was way cheaper. Ubers were way cheaper. Like research, like even the Uber drivers would say like, hey, it's like way more expensive. Like normally would cost you a lot to get an Uber from here to here because because the time is way longer. Food at restaurants, alcohol, tourist attractions, everything is dramatically cheaper. They actually add like essentially like a peak tax to everything. So like they know how busy it is in summer and they upcharge like crazy in Old Town Dubrovnik. And so obviously the plus side to not being in peak season is that sort of tax is not there. So everything is very affordable. And I think the one best part about this was the tourist attraction. So they have it's like a Dubrovnik, like most sort of big touristy places have like a city pass, like a tourist attraction pass to get you into
one flat fee and it gets you into all these things.
Yeah, and they had this during the off season, but it was like a winter like discount version.
Do you remember how much it was?
I'd have to look it up, but it was very cheap. It was like $20 a day or something.
Yeah, I think
even.
that I don't even think it was.
I didn't even think
much.
it was that. It was very cheap, and the main perk of this is it gets you entrance to the city walls. So you get up on the top of the walls. You do you can walk around literally the entire walls.
You can do a full circle.
I actually do have a video of that. That is one of the videos we have early on in the channel, is kind of like a video of the entire walk around. So if you want to check that out, I'll put it in the description.
You can see how empty it is.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description, but there's no one on here. We've looked at videos of other people doing it in summer, and it is wall-to-wall people the entire way around.
Yeah.
Does not seem pleasant.
And in the when we were there, it was the winter, but it wasn't. I want to say it was in like the 50s, maybe. It wasn't very cold.
No.
And so walking up there was really, really pleasant. It wasn't very windy.
Yeah.
And you could see in the summer it would be blisteringly hot, and then being on top of a stone castle, essentially.
No shade, no anything.
It would have been miserable.
Yeah. Yeah, so I recently just paused and we researched this. Yeah. So the Dubrovnik pass is normally like €40 a person per day in summer.
Expensive.
Yeah. And we looked it up. We paid €15 a day.
Yeah, so if you do, according to what I found, it's €15 for 1 day.
Yep.
€25 for 3 days, and €35 for a 7-day pass.
Yeah.
So in winter, you can spend less for a 7-day pass
than it is
for 1 day in summer.
Yeah, I think we actually just did it for a day at a time, but I know we enjoyed walking the walls so much.
We wanted to do it again.
We just booked it again purely to do that. Because the other benefits of it aren't amazing. Like the other,
there's a couple tiny museums.
Little museums, which are fine. They're interesting to check out. But I would say the main benefit is walking the walls and having that, €15. I think €15 is cheaper than just the actual entrance fee anyway, as well, like during summer and stuff. So getting that pass was really easy, and it just it's on your phone and everything. So it was very handy, and doing that in winter for only €15 a person is.
Yeah, and it's just nice because in the winter you can walk the walls and really take your time. And there's cats hanging out everywhere. That's one of the things.
Dubrovnik in general.
Dubrovnik apparently is known for its cat population, and there's little kitties everywhere, and some of them are kind of standoffish, but some of them are very friendly and would let you give them scritches.
Yeah, it was especially because it was quiet that you could play with the cats as much as you want, and they weren't.
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably hide a bit more in the summer.
Yeah,
maybe.
for sure. And it's crazy. You can see them going outside the walls and like climbing the rocks and stuff. It was nuts.
It was scary. Some of them were
We
jumping
were
down.
legitimately worried about.
There are little ledges, and be like, how did you get there?
How are you going to get back up here?
But yeah, it made it. Yeah, it just made doing that like very easy, and we kind of just did it. I want to say we actually did it 3 days. I
thought we did it twice.
I don't know. Yeah, it's possible, but I know we did it again just to be like, this was a nice, pleasant walk, and it was only 15 euros, and we got some good video and photos and all that, and it really let you take your time, get some really good photos without other people in them and all that, and I think that's another point too is we're not big fans of this, but Dubrovnik is very famous for being like the filming location for Game of Thrones. So I think
a few other things as well, but I think Game of Thrones is
that's the big thing, and there's like several things around there. I think you can even do tours and stuff focused on that.
Yeah.
But I think in summertime, all those things would just be slammed. But like this time, you can just literally be the only one in this town. It's just you and some locals essentially.
Yeah.
We barely saw any tourists this entire time.
Yeah, like a handful, literally a handful. Yeah. So you can, especially, if you're a Game of Thrones fan and like that's important to you, definitely I would go in winter because then you're going to be able to get photos of all those spots.
Yeah.
And they'll be empty.
Yeah. All right. So we touched on this one a little bit before about low traffic, but I think it's worth bringing up again just for another side note is, as I said, we did rent a car and we went on like a day trip. Like we went on a little road trip one day. That was much more pleasant because of the lack of traffic.
Yeah.
So we were able to do this. It was quite an intimidating driving around sort of the coast of like Dubrovnik area because it was sort of narrow roads, very windy on the side of the cliff. And I think that would have been quite scary to do in like with a lot of traffic, especially a lot of tourists driving. I know we were also a tourist driving, but not being surrounded by other
tourists that also don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it made it a little safer when it was just the locals.
And one thing we could have done, and for some reason we chickened out, I think you kind of got intimidated. It's very easy to drive to Montenegro and Bosnia. And I imagine doing that also in winter would be much easier. We chose not to. I think you driving across a border crossing made you a little nervous.
We were a little nervous, especially just being like, we didn't know what we had to do. Like I know there was a lot of there were certain forms we had to fill out ahead of time, and we at that point we were kind of like, we're content with just staying in Dubrovnik for this trip. But yes, if you are so inclined, you can go and see a few different countries all sort of in that one area, which is good. Yeah. How about we talk about the weather? We touched on it a little bit earlier because I think that is the main concern people would probably have back home in the winter, right?
Honestly, it was gorgeous. It was sunny like every day. It was probably I want to say in like the 50s. I don't think we were that cold.
There were some days, I think it was probably in the 60s, because there is multiple photos of us in just t-shirts.
In t-shirts, yeah, you're right.
It just depended, if it was like windy or not. Some days were, I think, windier than others.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
It was extremely pleasant. Like, it was sort of that perfect middle temperature. Not too hot, not too cold, right?
Yeah. All I need is a light jacket.
Yeah. And...
You didn't get my reference.
No.
It was Miss Congeniality.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was perfect weather, especially for doing what we were doing, like exploring like the city, the Old Town area, being a little bit cool, because it is all like sort of, as you said, the walking on the tops of the walls would be excruciating in the summer. And a lot of the city is kind of just like all like brick, like it's very like, I think the heat would bounce off everything.
It would be like a stone bowl, basically. Specific when we're talking about city, we're talking about specifically the Old Town.
The Old Town, yes. And I honestly don't know why it would be popular in summer without. I know it's mainly because like cruise ship, like cruise and sailing,
Cruises, yeah.
like stuff will stop there.
Yeah.
And that's why, I guess. And I think the beaches and stuff, some people want to go to the beaches.
But
Yeah.
you say beaches.
Yeah.
These are not beaches the
No.
way I, an American that grew up on the East Coast, thinks of beaches. Because
They're tiny.
I think of beaches as like a wide sandy expanse.
Yeah.
And these were tiny little pockets of rocks.
Yeah.
And if you go and you look at pictures of Croatia in summer, you're either on rocks or on a rock.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like rock outcroppings and
Yeah,
stuff.
it was all very, very tiny. A lot of them were attached to certain hotels or properties and stuff.
And I was just like, this doesn't look pleasant.
if you went there just for that, yeah, you would have to go insanely early in the morning to stake out your spot, to get a parking spot or something.
Yeah.
And then, trek down the side of a cliff or whatever, down to your little rocky outpost.
Outcropping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine like at the hotel and stuff, they would put out like beach chairs.
Yeah, I think if you're like the hotel we
But
were staying at, I think it would be fine.
If you're going outside of Old Town, like in Dubrovnik proper, it's little spits of rocks. Like it doesn't look very pleasant.
Doesn't look very appealing.
The water is
the water is beautiful.
The water is some of the most gorgeous water I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But the beaches themselves, if you're an American, especially on the East Coast, it is not what you think of when you think of a beach.
Yeah, and like
I was very surprised by that. And I think if we'd gone in summer, I would have been a little like, ugh.
Disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is obviously the one that does it. If that's important to you, or if you enjoy that kind of beach or swimming experience, it was too cold to swim. We did not swim.
Yeah.
But it was still very pretty in winter. Like the water was just as clear, and it looked
The water
looked
was
the same.
beautiful. Yeah.
For like just like watching the beautiful ocean, like it was just the same as it would be in the summer.
And a nice thing about being there in winter, like one of my favorite things we did is you have to look them up before you go. I think there's 2 bars that are on the rocks, like on the cliff, outside the walls, facing the water. Mm-hmm. And I imagine trying to get into one of those and getting a seat in summer would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But in winter, we went at sunset and got chairs looking out over the water. And like this place, it's very minimalist. We'll go minimalist. So I think you could there was one kind of beer.
Yeah.
And that was it. Did they have wine? Maybe they had wine.
Possibly, but
They probably, if they did, it was like a red wine and a white wine, and that is it. It was like, very minimalist. Everything is cash.
it was cash only. You had to like, it was like, I think everything was just like in a fridge or something.
Yeah.
Like but it was not like professional. It was very much like there was a fridge on the side of this like
cliff.
Someone that took the money, and that's it. Like, and then there were very minimal like chairs and
there's
like
maybe
tables.
20 chairs on kind of this like cliff with kind of sketchy scaffolding. But it was amazing.
It was so cool. Yeah, this is kind of like, I think you really do have to search for this, or you have to like, because even we found it online, someone talking about it, kind of like the hidden bar in Old Town Dubrovnik. And then we had to like look for quite a while. Like we had to walk through all the like you could spend a while like trying to figure out where this is. Yeah, but it was really cool. And I think, as I said, we weren't in any rush. I would imagine even summer they might even have kind of like you can only be here for X amount of time. Yeah. Yeah, but
definitely a plus to going in the winter.
Sorry, I'm laughing because our dog is snoring behind.
Flanny.
No, but yeah, definitely a plus for that because and then also most of the restaurants and stuff were open too.
Yeah.
I think some of their hours might have been slightly reduced, like some of them weren't open for lunch and stuff like that. But there were a lot of restaurants that you could, I think, just walk up to any of them and get in because it was so like relaxed and chill and quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's like one more thing to talk about here, and that is you get one benefit, like real benefit that you can't get in Old Town Dubrovnik at any other time of the year.
What is it?
And that is their Christmas markets.
Oh, yeah.
And they had Christmas markets here. They're not the most extravagant Christmas markets.
No,
you're
it was a
gonna find.
minimalist Christmas
But
market.
it really added a cool, like, differentiator to being there at this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, so they essentially just have all these Christmas market stalls spread out throughout most of the old town. Like,
Yeah.
they're kind of just like, they're not like centralized in one specific spot. They're just kind of scattered.
Yeah.
And you can try a lot of local food and stuff. So like I know we got sort of like some local, like sausage. You got, it was like
Stuffed cabbage we
stuffed
got.
cabbage.
Yeah, and did we get dumplings too? I think there were dumplings.
I think so, yeah. It was just like a whole bunch of stuff, and it was all these just like sort of vendors that just set up their little stalls, and they were just super cute.
And they were like stoked to see tourists as well. They were so excited to talk to us, and yeah.
Yeah, I remember one of them he kind of remembered us multiple times because we would come through.
I think we went back twice.
I think so, because he was so nice. Like, I think he was like the sausage kind of.
He was the sausage
It was like
guy.
a sausage on a roll kind of
Yeah.
situation. And yeah, we went to him on like the first day, and he was super nice. And he'd make it, and he'd like, no, go have a seat. Like, go sit down.
I will bring it to you.
I'll bring it out to you. And like, he was super cool and was like talking to us and chatting. And yeah, and then whenever we kind of walked by other days, he would be like, hi.
Yeah, he was really sweet.
It was just like a nice difference to going at that time of year. There were multiple days we didn't even have to go to like restaurants or anything, because we would just go to these street, like the Christmas market vendors.
Yeah. And then would just eat breakfast and dinner at the hotel, which we normally wouldn't do, but the food was excellent and it was included. So.
Yeah. I think it was one of those, we were kind of course we were there, it was so cheap, we were kind of like, let's kind of like, we'll be good, like, don't be too extravagant on this trip. We'll save some money. We might as well save the money and eat like at the hotel because it was included. Yeah. So we kind of just budgeted for that to make it like a somewhat affordable like trip, right?
Yeah.
This isn't all perfect. I think there is one major downside. It was for us. I don't think if you lived in other parts of Europe, I don't think it would be a downside. Yeah. But getting there was not as easy.
Bit of a thing. Do you remember what the flight path was?
I think it was three or four flights. We had to, I think because Dubrovnik's not as much, there's less direct flights there. So we had to go via, I guess before we went there, we had to go via Zagreb, Croatia, which is like the capital. I think that's the capital of Croatia. We had to go via Raleigh-Durham to Washington Dulles Airport, and then Munich, I think it was.
It was Munich or Frankfurt.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, it was Munich on the way back. Yeah. Frankfurt, on the way there, we went to Frankfurt, and then Zagreb. So, yeah, it was 1, 2, 3, and then, 4. It was 4 flights. 4 flights to get there. It wasn't particularly cheap either because there were so many flights. Yeah. But because we saved so much on, like, the hotel, we were like, that's fine.
It comes out in the wash.
Yeah, so it was a journey to get there. Yeah. And then I actually think on the way back we went by Munich instead of Frankfurt, and we actually stayed the night
in Munich.
We did like a long layover of like 12 hours or something, and just spent the night, got a night's sleep, and then came back to the US after that.
That hotel room in Munich was also quite
nice. That was nice. So side note, the Hilton at the airport is very nice at Munich. But yeah, so that is one downside. I don't know if it's improved since, or it was just sort of the time, but I know they have reduced amount of flights going straight to Dubrovnik. So you do have to kind of fly around excessive amount of stops on the way there.
It was a thing.
But no, I think that's kind of it for this. I think that's it for all the pros and cons, right? Can you think of anything else sort of that we didn't touch on around Dubrovnik? Yeah,
I think getting there is a lot more flights. Some things are going to be closed.
Right, that's true. So if there's something in particular you're going to see, maybe do some research to make sure it is open during that time. We were very open to whatever. I think that main thing we were like is like, can you walk on the walls? And that was
and it's going to be better than in the summer.
But if there is something very specific you want to do there, like I know there was like a little island off that you could get like a ferry or something out to. That wasn't running in the winter. Yeah. So there's some things. So just as long as you're open-minded about not being able to do absolutely everything there.
I think granted, we haven't experienced it in summer, but I think based on what we did experience, for us, the trade-off was 1,000% worth it.
Yeah, and I think it'd probably not, it'd be nice, I'm sure if you are doing like a cruise or you're sailing around like the Med and stuff, it's fine to do like a short stop, but doing a dedicated trip there and just, having a slow-paced,
It was lovely.
chill like experience where we weren't rushed to do anything.
Yeah.
We could just kind of go at our own pace and explore was really nice. And I think that has opened our eyes a lot more to traveling in sort of off-season,
Yeah.
or in winter kind of spots. And I think it just made us be like, so a few of our other sort of, we won't go into them now because we'll probably talk about them in the future, but there's some places we've went that are outside of peak season and we've really enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Right. So
we're big fans of traveling off peak.
Yeah. It just like we like it being a little quieter generally. So that's how we enjoy it sometimes. With being the only people there as tourists, right? But yeah, that was the first of these sort of like underrated, overrated travel destinations. If you have been to Croatia, been to Dubrovnik in the summer or the winter, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Are we wrong? Is summer that much better?
Let us know what else.
What did we miss?
Yeah, maybe we have missed something. Maybe there is like, you should definitely go in summer again. But yeah, thanks so much for watching and listening this latest episode. Make sure you're subscribed so you can see next week's podcast and also our weekly travel vlogs. So, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.